Hello, it's Ian again, just updating you on our VBlog today. I've just driven back from Woodall Services on the M1. I came back on the M1 A50, M1 A38 A52 through Ashbourne into Stoke-on-Trent. So I thought I'd give you an update. It's bank holiday weekend and it's Friday, so I did expect issues on the motorway, and of course there was. I posted something on Twitter yesterday and on Facebook saying that maybe we should publish or make public the cause of an incident if you're waiting in traffic on the motorway. And case in question was, now I know you not really shouldn't rubberneck and you shouldn't look at an incident, but in all honesty, we had plenty of time to look because we were stationary. So the incident that took place on the M1 South today, well, I'm sure there was many, but when I came down there was a rear end shunt, which is the most common crash in the UK. So that's what caused probably a good 15-20 minute delay today on the M1 heading south. And yeah, we were stuck in that traffic. A couple of instances, because of the fact that traffic was slowing down to a stop, you always end up with stop-start traffic on the motorway where it ends up being a wave. I have posted some things about waves and phantom traffic jams on my blog, talking about the fact that traffic speeds up and then slows down to a stop, and speeds up and slows down to a stop on the approach to an incident, which is quite classic, and of course that's much more likely to cause a rear end shunt in itself. And I was involved in this wave on the approach. All the overhead boards are saying that there's an incident ahead, 40 mile an hour, queue ahead. Yeah, van driver behind me, I'm obviously keeping a nice safe distance. Van driver behind me didn't like the fact that he thought I was going fairly slow, and in the distance there was stationary traffic with brake lights backed up, probably only a few hundred meters away. So yeah, obviously let him get on with it, let him do the overtake. White van man in his Sprinter van. About 30-40 seconds later he was stationary and my lane was still moving. In fairness, that's what happened throughout the whole process. So he flashed his headlights at me. He seemed to be quite annoyed. He moved out to lane 2. I'm not quite sure what he was getting annoyed about. I'm giving him plenty of warning with brake lights that there's a problem up ahead. So for me, you should be looking so far ahead that your eyes hurt. That's how far ahead we should be looking. What are we missing with training drivers? Why is that not happening? Why aren't we reflecting on how far we're looking ahead? So I certainly can look ahead. One of the things I noticed when I came back from doing some work in London was that that's exactly what happened. You tend to be quite short-sighted on your view of the road ahead, and certainly extending the view gives you much more time to react, and also much more time for chaps behind. So yeah, continuing on the run, got through the rear end shunt on the M1. It's parked up with loads of police officers on the left hand side, and of course it sped back up again. So yep, speeding back up most of the way on the motorway, most of the way on the A38 where it was safe to do so. I was doing 70 mile an hour today, which I know from previous blogs you'll have noticed I don't always, but the traffic was flowing. It was safe to do so, it was fairly economical to do so, so why not? Let's get up to speed. There's some interesting scenarios I'm trying to think, because there's so much that happened. One of the things that comes to mind is when we turned off onto the A51, quite soon after there was an ambulance, a paramedic Skoda that was in the distance behind. I am a Skoda fan, so that's besides the point. But in the far distance behind me, I could see it. Now, going back a little bit, there was a Mini behind me, pretty damn close through the 30s, keeping a safe gap through the Nationals. She was behind me at this point. This Skoda must have been quarter of a mile away, half a mile away, something like that. So I see a lay-by, I'm going to pull into it, so give her a nice long signal behind, and then she doesn't pull in behind me. Neither does the one behind that, neither does the one behind that. So I'm the one that saw it, but the other guys didn't. It's I'm not saying I'm perfect, I'm certainly not, but why, if you're good at looking what's happening behind as well as in front, really we needed to be pulling up to allow him to come past. He had a little bit of difficulty because the next few bends were solid white lines, and of course he has to wait for you to become stationary legally before they can do the overtake. As far as I'm aware, they have no exemptions on that. You've got to think of the reason why as well, because you know the solid white lines are usually because someone's had problems on that particular location, probably through overtaking, limited view, for example. So yeah, so he continued through on that one. Interesting. And of course I'm now behind the Mini. Now what was quite funny is she was following me close, but analysing the other two cars that were behind her, they must have only been at half a second gap. Now come on guys, you know, I've just said that on the motorway we were stuck for 20 minutes longer because someone was following too close. What are you gaining from getting closer to the vehicle in front? And anybody that knows me and anybody that will see my blog says that I recommend or suggest 4 seconds in the dry in terms of following distance. Now some people say yeah, that's too long. I do get that, and I understand in some circumstances you could argue that's a little bit too long. However, from my perspective, is 2 seconds you can stop, but and not only just, also in perfect conditions on a dry road with good brakes, with good anticipation skills, looking ahead, concentrating, with the guy behind also at least at 2 seconds gap behind you, and is concentrating and is going to brake, because it's okay you stop him, but if the chap behind doesn't, then you're going to go into what's ahead. So 4 seconds means I can stop comfortably with a margin for error, and also don't have to brake hard, much less likely to be rear end shunted. I can see further ahead by being a little bit further back. If someone cuts in front of me, I've still got stopping distance. So there's plenty of reasons why I try and maintain that. I don't always, because that's unrealistic on the road in certain circumstances, particularly with there's a lot of swaps of lanes with people moving in front of you. During that period of time it's going to be less, but only for a short period of time until I get a chance to increase it and back off. So it's something to think about. Please let me know what your comments are on that. I've also posted a Gran Turismo very close following distance, 1 second, 2 second, 3 second and 4 second following distance on YouTube as well, so have a look at that. I continued down the back roads. I really enjoyed the A51 actually coming over the tops there, through the bottom of the Peak District, the other side of Ashbourne. Absolutely cracking roads, and really good chance to work on positioning for bends, getting the speed just right, limit point analysis, trying to get that absolutely bang on, looking at the clock analysis, where does how sharp is the bend, looking at road signs, markings. It was a cracking, really good fun drive, and also at choice of gear and things like that. So yeah, that was quite good fun. Enjoyed that drive. Safe, quick where it could be safe, was safe to do so, and nice and steady when it wasn't. There was a silver Peugeot behind me. Again, it's always a Peugeot. That even though I was absolutely, right up to the 60-mile-an-hour limit where it was safe to do so, but slowing down for the bends, he decided on the straight section where I was right up to the 60 to do an overtake at 70 mile an hour on a national speed limit country road. He didn't get any further because he ended up at the next junction stationary. So it does make you wonder as to the reasons behind that. So really not sure. The other thing was we were planning to overtake a tractor at one point, and it scares me that people, and with all respect, people might not have been taught to do it, or a coach to do it, or may not have thought about the methodology for an overtake, and it's quite scary when we're stuck behind a tractor and 2 or 3 cars can't get past, not because there's not an opportunity, but because they haven't got the skills or the knowledge, or haven't practiced on the overtake. So certainly that's something that's quite shocking. I mean, for me, the most important thing is, first of all, safety. Is it a safe thing? It's having a abort method as well. Being able to take a position on the overtake for view, but without accelerating, so you can move back in, gaining the view, and then get nailing it down to get past, or holding back and not taking the gap. And in fairness, the tractor did eventually turn off, which I also anticipated him doing at some point. But he, you know, no one was really making. Opportunities were missed, let's say, where there could have been a potential overtake. Remember, I'm sort of 2 cars back, and I probably might have taken one of them, but it wasn't really long enough for me to take. So obviously, I'm not going to risk that. So, but it's, and again, it turned out they only turned off a mile later, I think it was. So it's not much of an issue. A few other things. Goodness, I said there's a lot happened, but I'm trying to think exactly sort of things that we saw. So yeah, it's quite busy at the services today, and it shocked me really, the lack of facilities in terms of larger vehicles like vans, trailers, that sort of thing. Yeah, okay, they've got the heavy goods area. Again, that was pretty busy as well. But you know, car parks not providing sort of larger vehicles options for parking, which is a little bit of an issue. And also pedestrian footpaths. This is an absolute pet hate of mine, or something certainly that could be improved on many service stations, petrol stations, supermarkets, in terms of pedestrian route to store. So things like you know, pedestrian footpaths, etc., etc. Let me know your thoughts on that. I personally prefer to have a pedestrian footpath, a pedestrian route to store. It's scary how many people are not looking round when they're in a car park, particularly with kids, you know. Oh, yeah, mobile phones, we've had plenty of them today. Classics. Lady very close behind me at one point, messing with a mobile, looked like she was texting, and in the back, must have been a 3-year-old in a child seat, overtake me on the motorway, move back in, really not concentrating on the road ahead. And remember, that 3-year-old is in a forward-facing seat. She's watching what Mom's doing. Is she going to copy that later on? Does that make it okay? You know, Mom's doing it. Oh, I can do that too. That looks alright. So it scares me. And ultimately, you know, even if it isn't in that car, what about the next car along? You know, it's okay you having a child in your car, and you might drive differently with the child, but the car next to you has also potentially got a child in it, and you know, it really it's interesting. Yeah, I'm trying to think of the route we took and some of the things. There was some interesting events on the way to Nottingham as well this morning. I'm trying to have a think of the type of things that we saw. I was speaking to a gentleman today who advised me that in Germany, certainly pedestrians are you know, prosecuted for jaywalking and not waiting for the crossing to be clear and safe to go. And interestingly, I believe that's the same in the United States. Please let me know if you have experience of this, because I just so would like that to happen in the UK. We look at pedestrian deaths, it's pretty high in the UK. Cyclist deaths as well. Come on, let's prosecute some of these cyclists that are coming through red light. No, you know, some great cyclists out there, don't get me wrong, but there's also some really poor ones. Cyclists with no maintained, no brakes, no reflectors, no high vis in the dark, no lights in the dark, no training, wrong side of the road. Here's another one for you, A51. Country road, quite narrow. We've got ramblers, of course, it's bank holiday weekend, no problem with that whatsoever. Yeah, let's use the road, it's there for pedestrians, it's there for us to share. But walking towards, not walking towards oncoming traffic on the wrong side of the road. No footpath either side, so there's no footpath behind me, in front of me, in front of them, behind them, anywhere. So again, is there something that's not, I mean, these were, it must have been late 40s, early 50s, a couple, look nice enough people, but why walk on the wrong side of the road? You want to face traffic so you can see it, particularly with cars nowadays, you know, they're so quiet on some of the vehicles, we really want to be seen. So yeah, it's quite scary, and all I'm doing is updating you on what I see on a daily basis. these types of things, really high risk things that people are doing on the road. Apart from scuba diving, driving is the most dangerous thing that you could do as a career. Please correct me if that's incorrect. That's my understanding. So pretty dangerous stuff that's happening out there. You know, when you get inside a vehicle, you're driving around something which has got petrol in it or diesel. That's a flammable liquid. On 4 rubber tyres, its best lubricant is water. That's why we got the tread inside the tyre. Have a look at the tread depth talk that I've done, video on YouTube as well. So it's not a good combination at all, really not. What also concerns me is we're having the same issue in terms of vehicles accelerating towards traffic that's stationary again, and considering earlier on the cause of the problem on the motorway, why are people accelerating towards that situation? Is there there's something I'm missing? Is there something that you can input on that, the reasons behind that? I mean, my understanding is that that's human behaviour. It's a short-sighted view. You want to get home. I totally get that, but at the same time, you know, people are saying to me, well, you're driving really slowly. Well, where I'm not driving slow, I'm driving to the speed of the average speed on the traffic, and I can't go any quicker than that. I did loads and loads of overtaking today on the motorway and dual carriageway, but so I am making progress. Anything else that happened? I said loads happened, but maybe it didn't. Oh yeah, this morning I had, oh yeah, on the way back, right, okay. So national speed limit, dual carriageway. I had, no, it was a motorway actually, coming off the services. Is it? It's the one down on south on the M1 from Woodall. We had a people carrier, 7-seater with 7 people in it, coming up the slip road. I kid you not, at 40 mile an hour, no quicker, no slower. That's it, no acceleration down the slip road. In fact, I'm in lane 1. I have no escape route to the right. There are people coming up to the right hand side, so obviously I'm backing off and getting a little bit of grief from behind, but at the same time, you know, what else can I do? I can accelerate and move in front of them, but there wasn't quite enough time to do that. I mean, I have the power to do it, but I don't really want to have to accelerate towards that situation to move out of the way. I want to leave a little bit of room. It's really scary. Not only did that happen, a little bit later on, lay-bys are really difficult, and I try and plan ahead for lay-bys really well. I planned ahead for this lay-by, backing off a little bit, saw signals from the cars, no escape route to the right, so giving brake light signals to the lorry driver behind, and the chap pulls out. I have no problem with you pulling out of a lay-by, but again, a national speed limit road, he was doing 40 mile an hour. Everybody behind me is doing 60 plus. So that's what the accelerator pedal's for. Let's move out of the way. Let's think about traffic flow. Let's move. I mean, later on down the road, he's doing 70 mile an hour, but at that point there, he didn't speed up. Again, is there something I'm missing? Is there something I'm not covering, or am I missing the reasons behind that? I know I'm tolerant. I'm trying to be safe, but at the same time, you know, it's really scary that what these people are doing. Similar type of thing, and I'll leave you on this note, is that when people are pulled up in lay-bys and on the hard shoulder, opening and closing doors. I just open the door. Then there's no lock involved. There's no anticipation of the fact that the chap's coming past you really closely on the right in a lorry which is 40 ton. It's just door open. That is it. No thought behind it. No nothing else. So again, really scary thought that's sort of happening, and people aren't necessarily thinking about it. They're walking in front of the vehicle so that they can't be seen quite so easily. Look underneath the wheels so you can see them, but yeah, they should be coming around the back so you can see them. So yeah, let me know what your thoughts are on that. Again, I'm giving them plenty of room as well coming past them, but yeah, any other comments? Enjoy your bank holiday weekend. Please drive safely, leave safe gaps, plan ahead, and enjoy it. Take care. See you. Bye.